Hi everyone, it's Jackie here. It has been quite a long time since I last spoke to you, and I hope you're doing really well. And it was great to see Josh over the last few weeks and exploring Paul together. And so yeah, we've been exploring Paul and how he spoke to King Agrippa. And over the last few weeks, we have looked at lots of different things that Paul said. And one of them was stand up and speak. And we talked about what is your story? Meaning, what could you tell people about what Jesus has done for you? How could you share your story with others? And then we had stand out and serve. And we were looking at how can we serve Jesus? So what things can we do for Jesus? Where can we go for Jesus? And what can we say for Jesus? And then last week we looked at stand by and shine. And we looked at how we need to stay connected. Do you remember the socket and the plug? We need to stay connected to Jesus to be able to shine for him. But also, what does shining look like for us in our everyday lives? And how can people see Jesus in us? So today, we are going to talk about standing firm and sticking in. And so, yes, standing firm and sticking in. And we're going to again look at Paul and what he said to King Agrippa. And we're going to look at where he's still talking and still telling his story to everybody that was listening. And it starts in Acts in 26, chapter 26, and verse 19 to 38. Maybe 31. And he was talking about how Jesus came to him on the road to Damascus and gave him a job to do, and how he had to go out and tell everyone. And so we're moving on a bit, and he talks about how he was only doing what Jesus asked him to do, and how he had travelled around telling people about Jesus, and some were listening and coming to be saved and baptized and followed Jesus, and how he was in the temple and people didn't really like what he was doing, so that's where they arrested him. And how he'd been in jail, but he hadn't done anything wrong. And you know, when you think about anybody who stood firm and stayed doing what God had asked him to do, it would have been Paul, I think. It's a great example. Paul was shipwrecked. Paul was beaten many times. Paul was put in jail. And there's even one story where they're in jail and he starts singing. And he's joyful and he's singing praises to God. So even when things got really tough for Paul, he was still praising God. And isn't that amazing? And when he was talking to King Agrippa, there was King Agrippa's friend, Festus. Now, if you remember the story, Festus invited King Agrippa to meet Paul. And Festus knew of Paul, and he knew how he had studied and was quite intelligent. And he thought, what he's saying just doesn't make sense. It seems like he's gone crazy. And he actually said that. He says, Paul, I think you've gone crazy. And Paul went, no, I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you that Jesus has saved me. He's changed me and I'm a new man, and he can do the same for you if you follow him. And so King Agrippa listened, and there's a verse that in Acts 26, let me get my Bible, where I really like it. It's one of my favourite verses in this part of this story. And it's verse 19. And it says this. Sorry, verse 29. Where's 29? I found it, Sometimes it takes a little while longer to find the numbers in the Bible, the little ones. But I found it. It says this. Paul said, whether it is a short time or a long time, I pray to God that not only you, but every person listening to me today will be saved and will be like me. Isn't that fantastic? Isn't that great that he says in his talk to King Agrippa and how he was explaining about what Jesus had done for him, that he said, whether it is a short or a long time, I will pray to God that you and only but everybody that is listening to me would be saved. Let me say that again. Didn't really read that very well. Paul said, whether it is a short time or a long time, I will pray to God, not only you, but every person listening to me today will be saved and be like me, except for these chains that I have. Because actually, when he was telling the story, he was still a prisoner and still chained up. So he didn't want everybody to be in chains, but he wanted everybody to know Jesus. I think that's amazing. And when you think, though, he says whether it's a short time, or whether it's a long time. So he could be praying for a very long time, but he stood firm and he kept praying. And I was thinking about that and how can we live our lives like that? And so I thought of our story of the orange. Remember, a few weeks ago we talked about church and what church really is. And I said it's quite like an orange. And I said because an orange is still an orange, but when you open it up, it has many different parts. And how when we are one body in Christ. So there's many of us in church and we're one body. And how, remember I took all the orange apart and said how it's still an orange even if it's all together or just one part. And that's one thing you've got to remember, is that you don't do it on your own. You don't have to stand firm on your own. You have lots of people around you to help you and to encourage you and to keep you going. But also I want to add today that this orange, if it thought it was a banana, it would be quite silly. It's the wrong colour, it's certainly not big enough, and it even tastes different. So this orange isn't a banana, it's an orange. And it always will be an orange. And remember that you are you. And you're the best you that you can be. There's no other you, okay? You're the only you. And God has made you exactly the way he wanted to. And God has a purpose for you. And God has given you everything that you need when you're in his strength and being supported by him to do anything that he asks you to do. And I think that's really exciting. How that there's only one of me and I can be the best me that I can be. There's only one of you and you can be the best you that you can be. And also I was wondering how can we keep going? How can we stand firm? And Paul also wrote some more words. I'll get my Bible again. And these words are found in Hebrews, and it's Hebrews 12. And it's called a following Jesus example. How do we follow Jesus? And it's found in Hebrews 12, and I'm going to read verse 1 and 2. We have around us many people whose lives tell us what faith means. So let us run the race that is before us and never give up. We should remove all our lives, anything that gets in the way or holds us back, and the sin that easily holds us. Let us look only to Jesus, the one who began our faith and who makes it perfect. And that's really saying that, like we said, there's loads of people around us that help us with our faith and are witnessing to that faith. But also, we're all running a race in our life. We're all running a race to be the best that we can be for Jesus. And our goal is to be like Jesus. And we're not all perfect now, and we possibly won't be until we go to heaven. But our goal is to be like Jesus. And so you've got to never give up, keep on running that race for Jesus. But also, we've been talking about ordinary people with extraordinary lives. And you think, wonder what that is. But it's so simple. We don't need to make it difficult. It's when we change the way we act and we change the way our attitude is. For instance, for example, there could be a time where someone is really horrible to you and not nice, really nasty. Instead of being nasty back to them, you're kind back to them. And anybody watching, that's going to be a wow moment. So if that person, they'd say, that person was really nasty to him, but he was so kind back. Wow, did you see that? Did you see how different that was? Or if things are going not as you planned, or it's been a really difficult day, and you could really have a moan and be really grumpy, but instead you go, no, it's okay, I'm all right, I know things will get better. Wow, did you see that? He wasn't grumpy about what went wrong. He didn't complain, he didn't moan. Actually, he sort of lifted everybody up. He was okay with that. And he said everything would be all right. You can be extraordinary every day in the little things. And so, it's been great to share with you. And I've got something to say that for the next few weeks, we're not going to be sending you a video. So you won't see Josh and I or Hannah talking to you for the next few weeks. So we won't be sending you a video and speaking to you. But what we will be doing over the summer is putting videos of the stories up on Kids Church online. So look out for them. And maybe in a few months, I might see you again and share some more stories together. So until then, take care and God bless.